Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to say a short and sweet idea on the Parasha Bahalotecha. We find a family feud in this week's Parsha. The great prophet, the older sister of Moshe Ra'aya Mehemna. Miriam gets leprosy. Why? Because the Torah says that chapter 12, Vatedaber Miriam v'Aharon b'Moshe aladot ha'isha kushit asher lakach ki isha kushit lakach. Moses had divorced and separated from his wife Zipporah, and Miriam talked to Aharon about this episode, and they said, what? Why is Moshe so arrogant? Why is he so elitist? We're also prophets, but we are allowed to stay together in harmony in one tent and in one home with our husbands. So why did Moshe go away from his wife? So from here we see immediately God chastises, rebukes, reprimands, and gives reproof to Moshe and Aharon, and he says, how dare you talk about my greatest prophet of all time, the most outstanding Ne'eman, trustworthy and loyal servant of all time. Lo ken avdi Moshe b'chol beti ne'emanu. Moshe is on a whole different level. This is one of the fundamentals of Judaism. If we don't believe this, we're really not part of the club. The Rambam says we have to believe that Moshe's prophecy is unique in that he talks to God face to face. All other prophets relate to God in a sleep and in a trance. It's not a crystal clear, awake relationship like Moshe has. Moshe is the most loyal and outstanding and has the clear-cut relationship that nobody else can enjoy. So there's the famous Ramban that he says, really, this is one of the 613 commandments of the Torah. Did you know that? Just like every day except Shabbat, we have to put tefillin, we have to keep Shabbat, we have to keep Kippur, the 10 commandments, kosher. Every day, according to Nachmanides, we have to remember this episode. Because it was a horrible shame also came to Miriam, because right away God, her entire body got white and the leprosy, spiritual leprosy disease, and she got kicked out of the camp, Miriam, because she had the audacity and the chutzpah to talk about her younger brother, Moshe. So this is one of the 613 commandments, because really this is a wake-up call. Baruch Hashem, we try not to steal and cheat and murder, but where's our real challenge? Where's our real battle with the Yetzer Hara? It's to say Lashon Hara, not to say Lashon Hara. So therefore, through this commandment of remembering this episode, as great as Miriam was, she still got punished. Why? Because she talked about Moshe. And the Ramban says she's the poster child, because she had every excuse that it shouldn't be considered Lashon Hara. She didn't have malicious and vicious intent. Why was Miriam talking to Aharon? Because she felt bad for Zipporah. Zipporah said, Eldad and Medad got nevuah. I feel bad for their wives, for their spouses, because they're going to have to get divorced. So, first of all, Miriam, she had no ulterior motives. She really, as the older sister and like a mother-like figure of Moshe, she felt bad. And who did she say the Lashon Hara for? To her own, Moshe's own older brother. And Moshe didn't even feel humiliated or hurt in any which way, because the Torah, right after she says the Lashon Hara, Moshe heard it. Moshe realized that they had talked, and it says Moshe anav mikol adam. Moshe was the most humble. So she didn't have malicious intent. She didn't have spread it to Moshe's enemies to try to undermine or damage Moshe's reputation. It was for the benefit of Moshe getting back to his wife. And also Moshe didn't feel hurt. Still, she got punished. So I have a question on this, Ramban. We know that you are allowed to say Lashon Hara. If the Ramban is saying that she had all these good motives and she wasn't nasty and she was trying to help Sipporah, so I have a question on this whole episode. Isn't one of the... We know that Lashon Hara is forbidden, but if you have a productive reason, like obviously a rabbi, he has to hear Lashon Hara about the husband. In order to get the husband and wife back together, he has to hear part of the story. So if Sipporah really felt heartbroken and she was really emotionally talking to her sister-in-law that she feels bad that she's not together in one tent with Moshe, why really was Miriam? She had a very... There's the biggest mitzvah to bring a husband and wife together. That's a very good question. So the answer is very simple. The reason why we have so much badbachti and problems, even between brothers and sisters, is Miriam should have realized one thing. Her brother is head and shoulders above anybody else with his relationship with God. And instead of talking behind his back, she should have went to Moshe directly and says, why did you separate from your wife Sipporah? Because of that one reason, that was her mistake. So in life, if you see your brother, your sister-in-law, your friend, your cousin, your partner, let's not judge them. Let's ask them why they did what they did. Because so much harm comes because we talk behind each other's back. We talk about each other, but we don't talk to each other. And especially her, being the older sister of Moshe, she could have gone up to him any second she wanted and said, hey, my younger brother, I love you so much. Your wife is heartbroken. And Moses would have told her that it wasn't, Moshe didn't hate his wife or have any ill feeling. It was just a technical thing. Since he has to be on duty 24/7 to talk to the Almighty, he has to be spiritually and physically pure. So it wasn't practical for him to be together. So may Hashem help us to realize there's no excuses for Lashon Hara. And I just want to tell you a fascinating thing. The Sefer Yera'im says that we have to fear and have tremendous respect for Talmidei Chachamim, because God chastises Moshe and Aaron and says, Madua lo yaretem ledaber ba'avdi Moshe? Why didn't you fear to talk about my great servant, my loyal, faithful servant Moshe? So from here we see Lashon Hara is terrible, but talking behind leaders' back is even worse. And from here we learn that is one of the commandments of the Torah, to fear and have very, very tremendous reverence for the Talmidei Chachamim. And may Hashem always help us to communicate with each other, talk to each other, stop texting and doing Facebook, but have a heart-to-heart talk. And so much Lashon Hara and evil will go away. Shabbat Shalom. Don't forget to subscribe.